We there.
All right.
We holding straight.
Well, we have the whole stream one more evening. Next Tuesday
Thank God.
is the last class. Yeah, I know. Just remember that there's no longer a curfew, so that means you could stay and work until midnight and then go home. So I expect that to beat it.
That's what Karen, man. That's what Karen. That don't have no peace. He always walk in.
And Michael too.
No, sir.
Always say no in people's front yard and things. So.
So I would be able to put my video on probably about past. I just came from work and I can organize a few things.
Yeah. I realize you have a ton
I can listen in, but I cannot show my surroundings.
You can't show your surroundings at this time. Okay, but
yeah. All right, thanks.
All right. One of the things I want to talk about this afternoon has to do with communication and the fact that when you can't see people, it takes away from the communication, and because I can't read your body language, so. But we'll let that pass for the time being. Naja, I think your mic is on. This is Charles. Thank you. All right.
You're welcome.
Today is the big day. When we do the penultimate session, and when I give you your assignment number 3, which you have until midnight on August 20th to hand in. Cool.
On what date, sir? I didn't quite get that.
August 20th.
August 20th?
Yeah, 20.
August or July?
Sorry, July.
Oh.
Well, I was just wondering. I say thank you, sir, for the opportunity to play a math sport.
No. It just means that when exam results go in, your mark wouldn't be in yet. Let me go and check and see if on the official thing I have July and truth there. I think I have July. Yeah, I have July. Crazy, but not that crazy yet. So good. Yeah, let's wait for quorum. There are only 10 of you around. Let's see when we get to. When we get to about 15, we'll start officially. Any questions, concerns? Did anyone get a chance to take a look at that entire shadow video and hear the whole tune?
Of course.
Those of you who didn't hear it, who hadn't heard it before.
Anything. You all hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Oh, okay. Yes, of course. I went to look at that video. It's a very interesting video. Matter of fact, I'll have to do some writing for that video.
Yeah.
Really important point about the issue of equality.
Yeah.
Where women equal to men, so they had to buy a cement they needed to go up the hill with. So you give her one, and you take one. And then she almost fallen like she did, and she laughed till she okay. That's lyrical, just amazing.
Yeah, he was quite a character, as you know. Quite a character. And maybe at some point today we should talk about the difference between equality and equity. Because there are some subtle differences between equality and equity.
Definitely.
Maybe I'll take a few minutes to talk about that when we have the full class. Well, all those who are going to be here will be here. Anybody else had comments on the video?
So I was so
Afternoon, everybody.
Hi, good afternoon.
I went and shared the video with my other half. And when you hear I don't get certain things done now, is if you coulda, shoulda, that is going on. So I learned my lesson.
Just remember Shadow dead already, yeah? So don't let Shadow bring confusion in your house. Eh?
But anyway, it was very interesting, you know, and some of the message that he brought across that, you know, in this way, that, you know, reminds me of good Calypso, what Calypso is all about.
Yep. Most definitely. I think, you know, I was a fan for a long time, so this is just one more example, you know.
Strangely, when I listened to the Calypso, I was thinking in terms of post-COVID-19 and preparation for another pandemic and where our head is. And in another writing, I get a sense, I wrote that sometime I see the church trying to return back to normal with the same approach, still unprepared to help those in need if another pandemic were to come. So the same, we can't be saying it from woulda, shoulda, coulda.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. No, I mean, on a different level, it's very deep. I mean, you know, this whole business of, you know, because everybody could have, you know, there are very few times when people feel that they can't. You know, everybody feel they could have, but you know, and they would have. But you have to ask them, if, you know, if they did. You know, you should have do it here, but did you? And most times the answer is no. So all they coulda, woulda, shoulda, as he says in the first verse, it's just an excuse, eh?
And that is important again. In my professional life, I tell people I don't deal with excuses. I don't think we need to explain in detail to someone when we reach a meeting late. Let's just say sorry and move on. Because I find sometimes we can get ridiculous. And I started to look when people started giving me what passes as an excuse. I started to say people that way. Just, you know, I'm late, sorry, let's go on. But it gave me all drama. And you know, it's real excuses. You know.
But just remember something that I keep saying, that all of us have our issues, eh? And you know what you may be able to handle on a given day, someone else may not be able to handle. So you might find, you know, so what if you know your spouse was sick, you know? So what? My spouse will be sick and I still come to work, I still come to class. But you have no idea how that person, you know, internalizes it and what the impact has been. You know? And we find that a lot in communication too, that there's a tendency to assume that everybody deals with the same issue or similar issues in a similar way. You know, one of the things that often gets people into real trouble, and even in normal conversations, is when somebody tells you about something that they're going through, and then you're quick to say, you know, oh yeah, I went through that once. No, you
Good
never.
afternoon, everybody.
You never went through that. You may have gone through something similar, but you never went through that particular experience. So give the person a chance to explain what it was, because we have a tendency to keep saying, you know, like somebody says, you know, I was sick for a year. Okay, I was sick for a year too, but it's not the same thing, because you might have been sick for a year with a lot of family support, good medical assistance, you know, a pension or a national insurance scheme that was taking care of you. And that other person might have been sick for a year, unemployed, without any real, genuine support, you know. So don't feel that, you know, just because somebody says they're going through this or that you know how they should handle it or how they should come out of it. And I think that is, I mean, apart from empathy, that is something that, you know, when people start with the excuses, I, like you say, Bonnie, you know, I prefer if you just tell me, you know, don't go in to give me the details, and I will try not to imply that I know what you went through. It comes back to what we were saying about the pandemic. When a government minister comes on TV and says, no, we all in this together. No, we're not. We're facing the same rough seas, but we're not in the same boat by any stretch of the imagination, right? Because, you know, you might be able to go for 3 weeks without having to buy groceries. You know, I am not in a similar position. You might be able to survive from month to month. I may not be able to survive from fortnight to fortnight because of how I'm paid and that type of thing. So we have to be very sensitive when we're dealing with what we may assume are excuses, but it's really, you know, everybody's situation is different, and we have to learn to try to, you know, not necessarily bend over backwards, but at least be considerate, empathetic, even if we are not sympathetic, because, I mean, give me empathy over sympathy any day.
Same here, sir.
Cool.
And you know, sometimes people always keep to say, I know how you feel when you're expressing yourself.
Yeah.
That's the next thing. We don't know. You might think, or you might have a concept of what is it that is going on, but
Yep.
you don't actually know as the individual.
Yeah, I've seen it with personal issues, with loss, with sickness, with divorce, and thing, you know, just because you're divorced doesn't mean that you understand this person's divorce. And you know, that's a temptation we have, and especially if we're involved in communicating, it's all part of listening, which I was looking at some articles, some TED Talks recently. And one of the things that struck me is that it's now being recognized that very few of us know how to listen. I mean, we hear, but we don't listen. And one of the presenters was saying that companies and corporations and CSOs and NGOs organize lots of training sessions on communication skills, you know, how to speak in front of an audience. Nobody runs a course on how to listen. I've never attended any course on listening. I've attended several courses on upper communication, communication styles, how to speak in public, blah, 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 blah. But I've never been to a program that was geared to listening. And it has to be geared to listening for listening's sake. It must be part of a business course where, you know, they say, you know, okay, so this is how we listen in business. No, talking about listening generally. And I think it's something that at some point during this course, I'm going to try to incorporate at least 2 or 3 sessions on how you listen. And
That would be appreciated.
I think that would be interesting, because I'll be learning too, because I'm not a good listener myself. You know, so we all go through it together.
That sounds like a good plan.
Yep. All righty. So I think we're up to the complement that we will have for this evening's class. I want to go through a document with you. It's going to be CSD113 file 8 file, and it has to do with the importance of marketing, why marketing is important, the value of marketing, etc. When we finish that, when I go through that, I'm going to give you your assignment for your 3rd assignment, and you're going to probably spend a little time explaining it, so that, you know, so I don't get any queries afterwards as to, you know, so what exactly you mean by this and what exactly you mean by that. I'm going to try and walk you through it. in its entirety. Agreed? So are we good? Are we ready to go?
Yes, we're ready.
Okay, great. I'll first go through the document, file 8 with you. You will, I'm not giving it to you yet, so you'll follow with me. Stop me when you hear anything that strikes you as not being, in sync with what you thought, or if you have any ideas to contribute. Remember, it is difficult to disturb me or interrupt me. If I say something and in the moment, stop me and let me explain it. Do not, and I used to tell you guys this when we were in face-to-face mode, do not sit there or sleep there and then at 7:30 ask yourself, what the hell he was talking about at 5:30? So please stop me, all right? Because that's one thing I insist on, that you interrupt me when you're lost, or when you don't agree, or when you have something to contribute, all right? Let me decide if you're being a pest or not. Okay, so don't assume that because you asked 3 questions already, I don't want to ask a 4th one, and he might think I'm a pest, right? If I'm going to think you're a pest, I will tell you, right? Okay, so let's get to this document 8. I'll share my screen with you at some point. Now remember, you're going to get this document, so if you're not following exactly with me as I go along, you'll have a chance to take a proper look at it later on. Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay, are you seeing this document?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great.
But piece is missing.
Understand?
Much better now.
Okay, good. Okay. The thing is that I am trying to keep track of your reaction on the screen as well. So I'm trying to keep at least some idea of your guys' reactions to that. Okay. So the first half of the document deals with a look at 6 key reasons why marketing is so important. Yeah. Let's see if there's anybody who's trying it outside. No. Okay. All right. Yeah. So let's take a look at 6 key reasons why marketing is so important for any modern business. And instead of modern business, of course, we have our CSO. It informs. On a base level, marketing is useful for customer education or for client education. Sure, you know the ins and outs of your product or your service, but do your consumers or clients? In order to buy into a product or service, your audience needs to have a solid understanding of what it does and how it works. All right? So you want to communicate that to your clients in a fun and interesting way. If consumer education is on your priority list, then marketing should be too. All right? So if, as you keep insisting from your mission statement that your part of the service that you're providing is going to be useful for the clients, then you have to inform them. And the way to inform them is via your marketing campaign or your marketing strategy. Everybody still with me? Nodding, right, cool. So it informs. Anybody has any questions or concerns about that as a legitimate reason for marketing? No? Cool. The second point is that it equalizes. And this is a very interesting one. Modern marketing is a less expensive game than ever before. Social media platforms and email campaigns have made reaching out to consumers and clients a much more finance-friendly possibility. So for small and medium businesses, smart marketing can help even the playing field. You know what I feel about this even playing field. So when it comes to competing against big name competitors, you know, you'll have, in fact, many affordable mechanisms for getting your message out. The modern consumers value experience over pricing, so this kind of one-on-one interaction could push customers or clients in your direction over bigger brands or better known names. Any concerns there about it equalizing? And remember, as I said, I'm not keen about leveling the playing field. I'm talking about understanding the rules of the game. Because whether the playing field is level or not, if you understand the rules of the game, you understand what you're able to do and what is allowed in terms of ethical behavior. Still no questions there. Okay. The third one is that it sustains. And we're going to have to take a long look at this one because our program is called Sustainable Community Development Practice. So there's that word sustain and sustainable again. According to this marketing survey, marketing is more like food than it is medicine. Essentially, marketing is meant to sustain a company's presence, not remedy a lack of engagement. I want to repeat this. Essentially, marketing is meant to sustain a company's presence or CSO's presence, not remedy a lack of engagement. In this sense, marketing is something that businesses need to create and manage every day to maintain a healthy relationship with their consumers or their clients. Marketing is important because it allows businesses to maintain long-lasting and ever-present relationships with their audience. It is not a one-time fix. It is an ongoing strategy that helps businesses flourish. I think we need to stick up in here, as the Jamaicans would say, and pause a little bit here and let it sink in. How many of you can provide me with a definition of sustainable or sustainability? Let's try that off the bat. Let me hear some views. What would be your definition of sustainability? Come on there. 13 of you there. Somebody must have a view. I want to take a stab at it. You're doing a course called Sustainable Community Development Practice and you have no idea what sustainable is all about?
It means to maintain something at a certain
Don't Google, don't Google me, just give me your words.
well, maintain. I honestly think maintain is the right word. To sustain mean to maintain or to
I would
keep.
say it has to do with keeping at a level, not depleting or not going lower.
Well, that sounds nice, but I mean, in terms of a CSO, of a civil society organization, one that is people-centered and involved in development, what do you think sustainable means to us? We in this program, we in this field, we in this development arena.
I will,
My opinion.
Bonnie, okay, so let's Bonnie and then Natasha. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Bonnie.
I will say ensuring that the CSO is designed in such a way that after, in another sense, after its first, those persons set up move on, it can continue, and the design is such that it finds money and resources and all that are needed to ensure that it continues without much injection from let's say like subvention from government or so.
Okay. That's what sustainable means to you. Okay, cool. Natasha?
Okay, sir. I was basically saying being able to meet the needs now, the needs of the organization itself, as well as in regards to the service that the organization want to put forward. But yet still doing that in a way that as time progresses, these needs are continually met. So in existence in 2020, 2025, you're still ongoing because you're able to meet that need both in and out, and as time progresses, you continually meet that needs.
All right, so let me ask you a controversial question. So sustainability is about selfishness then. So you want to be always around, right? Why? Why can't you achieve your vision in the first 5 years and then just cease to exist?
Because you see, I'm not seeing it in the light of selfishness. I'm seeing it in the light of the evolving. So whereas you might, and dealing with people, having an organization that deals with people, the question still arises. Can you ever meet people's need and cease to exist? Would that ever happen? Because people continually develop and evolve. So as that takes place, other needs might arise. So I'm just saying, to be sustainable, yes, I might be able to meet that particular need that is arising here now. As people continue to grow and develop and other needs arise, the organization itself would evolve in order to meet the needs and even meet the needs of the people as well as the organization. So that's where the sustainability comes in. So as that process takes place, your organization is able to move with the process and not left behind. In that context, I'm seeing it.
What I took away from that, and what I think is the most important part of that statement, is that it is about service to people.
Yeah.
It's about service to people. So the sustainability is not so much a feature of the organization, it's a feature of the relevance of the organization to the next generation and the generation for that. So it's always, the focus should always be on the people and not on the organization itself. I mean, if you look at the United Nations and their fantastic Millennium Development Goals, they came up with these Millennium Development Goals and everybody thought it was fantastic. And then they decided, you know what? We need to have a different kind of approach, and we need to look at sustainability instead. And then they came up with the Sustainable Development Goals, which are more comprehensive and which invariably focus on people. Invariably. So whether it's education, whether it's poverty alleviation, all of these things have to do with people. So, and you know my normal issue about environment and environmentalists. Even when they talk about the environment, it is about having an environment that will sustain people. So as I keep telling you guys, do not ever think that I am an environmentalist because I want to protect the environment. I want to protect the environment. I want to protect people, and if we have the right environment, then people will be able to survive in that environment. My focus is not on the environment per se. My focus is on the people who are going to survive in that environment. If you have an environment that will not support people, I'm against that. So sorry, Bonnie, if as a consequence of that, it means we have to keep a level of biodiversity. I want a level of biodiversity because I'm thinking that in 2025, we might find a cure for something in whale oil or turtle liver. I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. And I think that if we destroy the biodiversity, we limit the chances of having any of these other living organisms help the species that I am loyal to, which is other human beings. Sorry, go ahead, one.
All right, so can I then add, I know this one is a little side, but let's just say an organization that ceases to be
Relevant.
meet its mission, vision in 5 years.
Yeah.
Right? Right. And let's look at this organization that we are currently framing.
Mm-hmm.
If in 5 years' time, this organization is able to create some standard so much that they themselves become sustainable in areas of the life, I think we achieve our objective.
Yeah.
Even if it means that we don't exist anymore.
Yeah, but you see, I think Natasha shoot down that point by saying that people are going to be constantly evolving. So even if they are, let us assume we go with Belinda's statistics, right? And you have 100 and something active CSOs. And we were so fantastic that in the first 5 years, we reached all 120 of them. You know, what happens to the organizations that start in 2026? Or that start in 2024? You with me? You with me, Bunny? So that's where Natasha is, which is right. I thought Natasha was coming from that, you know, people are going to be evolving. New groups are going to be formed. So that you should always be relevant, one would think, right? But I'm saying that the focus is on the sustainability, not so much of the organization, but of the existence of the need, right? So you remain relevant, and that's how you remain sustainable. That's what gives you your sustainability, the fact that you're still going to be relevant. Because there are going to be groups formed in 2025. And as we're on this topic now, I mean, brace yourself, but your assignment will deal with being asked to assist a community in crisis right now, right? And I've given you six scenarios where you have to choose one of those communities and do certain things in them, right? So all of it is this whole talk about sustainability is gonna ring home really clear in the next 20 minutes or so when I unleash assignment 3, all right? Which will have you smiling as you're smiling now.
So you're taking too much of pleasure in this.
Yeah,
you're taking too much of pleasure in this.
Of course. In the same way that I took pleasure in having all 25 of you try to write 1-2 page essay. I mean, I found a lot of pleasure in that too. Noja, I saw your hands up just now. Did you have your hands up or you were just stretching? Noja.
Hi.
Yeah, did you have your hands up or you were just stretching?
Oh, no, sorry. I was just stretching perhaps.
Okay, all right. Anybody else? Kevin, I haven't heard from Kevin. Kevin, I haven't heard you in the longest while.
I'm sorry.
Kev. Earth calling Kevin. Earth calling Kevin, going once, going twice. That's why I don't like people to turn up without having the video on, because I'm never sure if they're really there or they're just ghosting me. So, going twice, Kevin. All right.
Hello?
Yeah, Kevin.
No, not Kevin at all.
All right.
I sound like Kevin, not one bit.
No, not at all, not at all. All right, yeah, go ahead.
You use United.
Were you about to say something?
You use United States as an example for sustainability, but
who using the United States as an example of sustainability?
I just hear you talk a little bit about them, and you say they develop the environmental sustainable plan.
No. That was the United Nations, no, not the US.
That's what I was. That's what I was just clarifying because I know Trump don't like the earth.
Oh,
So,
no. I mean, that's what no, maybe I said UN and some either I said US by mistake, but if I did, I apologize. I already meant UN, United
but
Nations.
when we're talking sustainability, sometimes I try to model a lot of things from China because tell us what their bad ways are. They have some serious sustainability plans, and you know one of the reasons we know is because of the political system. But outside of the political system, the sustainability plan reigns no matter who changes or which different person comes on stream. And with CSOs, I think something like that is what we need. Policies that drives what we want to do, why are we doing it, so it doesn't matter which generation that comes. That plan sticks and it speaks to the needs of the people, and that plan speaks to everything that needs sustainable, that needs to be sustainable. The earth needs to be sustainable. People needs to be sustainable. We need to meet people needs all the time. So most of the time, with sustainability plan flops because we don't encompass human needs, the earth, whoever we decide to use. But that is why most of our plans flop because we do it for a short time, and then after there is no continuity because the mission is reached and it just doesn't.
I don't know. I want to disagree with you a little bit, Karen. One of the things that I am guilty of, if you want to put it that way, is that I have this really laser focus on people and without apology. So I'm not really interested in the Earth's sustainability. If the Earth is going to be sustainable, I know people on it. You understand? Because scientific research has shown that the Earth would continue along merrily if we didn't have people on it. So don't get tired up. It's not as if the Earth, is dependent on us humans to keep it going. As a matter of fact, people argue that if we weren't around, it might be a lot better, right? But I'm not going down that road at all because my focus is on people, right? As I said, that is why I feel I'm a development worker because that is what I'm interested in, right? So when you say other kinds of sustainability, I either correctly or incorrectly tend to dismiss the other kinds of sustainability if it's not linked back to people, right? So that's just my little particular bias, So you're not wrong. It's just that I don't agree. I think that sustainability is only framed in human terms. As I said, the Earth could sustain itself in that inert kind of way, without us cutting down trees and blasting holes in mountains and that type of thing, right? Cool. So we could agree to disagree, Karen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Remember, I'm not suggesting that you have to, take my things, 100%. Remember, that is why we are engaged in a conversation. We're having a class session. We're having an interactive session. And your views are just as valid as mine, all right? It's just that, as the person leading the discussion, I have to tell you how I process things. All right. Kenya, would you say something? Oh, Natasha, right, sorry.
But isn't that sustainability is twofold? Because whereas you would try to be sustainable in regards to meeting the needs of the population, don't you have to be sustainable inwards as well in regards to your own operation that will push you to meet that needs? Because probably I should use an example.
But before you do that, are you talking about a means to an end? If you're talking about a means to an end, then fine, yeah, I agree with you. In other words, the CSO can't provide services if it's not around. So if you see sustainability in terms of the organization being around to be able to help people, then fine, yeah, then we agree.
Right. that extent. But I also seen in regards to so okay, so we functioning, we need to, do certain things,
Mhm.
and we, as a CSO, you're not able to probably pay the staff that is within your care. You're not able to, do certain things that will keep your operation or your service available to the people.
Right.
But yet still you're trying to meet their needs. It's like to me, I'm seeing it being like you don't have that self-care to give to somebody else. In that kind of regard, in that kind of way, I'm looking at it. So I must be sustainable first.
I,
In
I
house,
agree. I agree. No, I have
and
a difficulty with that. I have
then
a,
I can go out.
I have a difficulty with that once it's focused on remaining viable to be able to do work in the community.
Right.
So in that sense, it doesn't come across as selfishness. It comes across as rational behavior. I mean, it is similar to what happens on a flight during the safety briefing. They keep telling you that if these oxygen masks fall from the top of the plane, from the compartments above your head, you are to put on your mask first before you assist anybody in the air. Because if you are not conscious, how the hell are you going to take care of the baby next to you if you put on the baby's mask first? No, you have to put on your own mask first. In that sense, you're not being selfish, you're being practical and you're being rational. So of course the organization has to see about itself first. Because if it doesn't see about itself and it doesn't have the resources as Bonnie was mentioning or as Karen was mentioning, then you won't be able to do squat. Agreed?
Agreed.
Okay, good. Any other comments before I go on to the...
Yes, sir, I
Yeah.
do. Before you go on to your next point, I listened to what you said and you mentioned something about sustainability. And I do agree with you. You said that there are different types of, well, humans have different types of sustainability. And I do agree because I was listening to a TED talk and this guy, he was a scientist or something in Africa.
Mhm.
And there was a place that he thought was overrun with elephants. And he thought that the elephants were the ones that were making the environment deteriorate
Mhm.
because there was so many of them. So
Right.
he made up some sweet plans saying that how there's too many elephants, and if there are less elephants, the land will heal itself or something like that.
Mhm.
And he did a nice proposal, and the government agreed, and they killed almost half of the elephants, and then they realized that they were wrong because the land did not improve. Then they realized that they needed the elephants because the elephants, it's like
They,
a life cycle kind of thing.
they were providing manure too.
They were providing something or the other. I don't know what they were providing, but so I realized that sometimes we humans do get things wrong. So we definitely need to know the best way forward in relation to sustainability.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, the other issue I have is with the preservation movement, right? I think you guys have heard me say this before, that there's nothing in nature that you can preserve once it's alive, right? Preservation in nature is about death, right? You preserve something, you put it in formaldehyde, and you keep it there, and it won't change for the next 100 years. So you do not preserve a forest. Because if you decide, I'm not going to touch anything in that forest, and I'm going to preserve it, right? You end up with issues because the whole act of preservation means keeping it in an inanimate state. And you can't do that with something that's living. You can't do that in the natural world. You can't preserve anything in natural world. If you look at all the things you have seen preserved, remember when you're in class, in biology class, something you see they had this frog in a big jar with formaldehyde, and they had kidneys in formaldehyde. All those things were dead. as dead as they come. That's the only way you can get to preserve it. You don't preserve living things, right? So once it's part of nature and it's part of the natural environment, you can't talk about preservation. So that's when I get a little worried when people say they want to preserve this and want to keep it in the same pristine state and blah, 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 blah. Because we have made spectacular mistakes with that. And one of the examples that I use a lot is what happened in St. Lucia. St. Lucia has a forest reserve in the middle of the island. And there was a time when they thought that having a forest reserve was almost like having a forest preserve. In other words, don't go in there, don't interfere with nothing because it's the water catchment and it's the this and it's the that. But what they realized is that the forest had to be managed, because if you left all of those large trees until they got to be so huge that, given the slopes that some of them were on, they actually came down the slide and caused landslides. And so because we weren't thinning them out enough, we weren't ensuring that you had like the typical 3 stories that you have in tropical forests, the very large trees, the medium trees, and the undergrowth. And that is what was keeping the soil together. That's what was keeping the mountains stabilized. That is what was helping in terms of your water catchment. So if you just left the trees, all the trees to get as big as they could get, then that wasn't the most effective way to manage the forest. So, I mean, so that we learned some serious lessons there, so that as humans, we are always interacting with the environment, we're always interacting with nature, and sometimes we get it wrong. And I'll be the first person to admit that. Sometimes we get it wrong. But from my perspective, every time we interfere, it has to be with the intention of making some sort of improvement for the species that we are supposed to be loyal to. Okay?
I agree.
Cool. Anybody else? Okay. So let me share the screen with you once more and we go on to some of the other topics on file 8. Okay, so we just dealt with 3. It sustains. Cool. It engages. Customer engagement is the heart of any successful business. This is especially true for small and medium businesses. Marketing solves the question of how to keep a conversation going once your customer or client has walked out of the door or has ceased to engage with you in that particular way. So in the past, face-to-face interactions made up much of business to customer engagement, or CSO, C2C, or customer to client engagement. You walk in the pizza shop, talk to the hostess, laugh with the waiter, wave hello to the owner, etc. While that in-person engagement is still alive and well, it's no longer enough. Consumers want to be engaged outside the store. This is where marketing comes in. Whatever the medium, you can send your customers content to keep them engaged beyond the store hours. Your audience wants to form a relationship with you, with your brand, and marketing can be used to do just that. And of course, wherever you see business there, just substitute CSO and it is applicable. It sells. 5, marketing is important because it helps you sell your products or services. I mean, I don't think we need to harp on that anymore. And one of the things that I want to read in this is that the bottom line of any business is to make money, and marketing is an essential channel to reach that goal. So with your CSO, it will be to provide a service and accomplish your mission, right? So without marketing, many businesses wouldn't exist because marketing is ultimately what drives sales, what drives engagement. So for your CSO, if your CSO does not have a proper marketing strategy, it will literally cease to exist. And some of the scenarios we were discussing on Tuesday would become to light, so that a visiting parliamentarian or MP will steal your thunder literally, because as far as the community is concerned, you didn't really have anything to do with this activity. It is something that the minister or the parliamentary rep or some politician did, right? Because you did not get your message out and you did not engage your client base or your would-be beneficiaries in advance, so that when the big opening came, nobody knew it was the Tudge Road Development Group that did it. Sure, you need to have a good product or service, but if people don't know about your offerings to begin with, then how can you generate sales or provide a service? Right, so you need to create fresh and inviting content to draw customers or clients and to lead them to an engagement. The equivalent of a purchase in business would be an engagement with your CSO. So marketing helps sales and sales help your business. What more could you ask for? Straightforward. It grows. Marketing is an important strategy to ensure the growth of your business. While your current customers, should always be a main priority, marketing efforts can help you expand this base. Again, I think that too is fairly straightforward. All right. Well, that was the 6 from the first article that I copied. And this now is, they give you 9 reasons now why you really need to have marketing. Marketing is an effective way of engaging customers, or engaging clients. I think we have more or less. Sorry.
Sorry.
Karen?
Yeah, you're gonna send that document first?
Yeah, this is file 8. This is 8. You're getting this. Yeah. I wouldn't be sharing on screen unless I'm gonna send it off when I send you assignment number 3. Right, in the next 10-15 minutes at most. All right. So marketing is an effective way of engaging customers. That marketing has built and maintained the company's reputation, or the CSO's reputation. We talk a lot about this, and this is part of the subject of your assignment number 2, where you're talking about the value proposition of the organization. Remember, if you see anything here that doesn't make sense, or you want me to maybe modify or elaborate on, please stop me, and don't wait until you have this on next week, when we closed off for the summer period, you get a brainwave. All right. So marketing helps to build a relationship between the CSO and its clients. And that too is fairly straightforward. You would have seen that in the other paper as well. And then here they refer to it as a communication channel used to inform your customers or your clients. Again, we keep talking about the importance of communication and proper communication channels that would suit the demographics of your target groups. The 5th one had to do with marketing helps to boost sales, which is almost similar to what we talked about in the first paper. So we know that marketing helps you to boost. The equivalent of sales for the CSO would be engagement, right? You want to be engaged by other CSOs or by your clients to provide services. 6, marketing aids in providing insights about your business. And this is important. Every marketer understands the need for targeting the right audience. However, you must have the right content to share with such an audience. So again, when we talk about a market strategy, talk about doing the market research, find out who your targets are, right? There again, we have to thank, Belinda from that first intervention when she actually got a compilation of all the registered CSOs in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. The marketing strategies can help you establish what business messaging will convince the target audience. And of course, you modify a message depending on the audience and the client. So the pitch you use for an established CSO like Aspecto will be different to the pitch you use for a CSO that's in infancy. 7, marketing helps your business to maintain relevance. Remember we mentioned relevance earlier on. We talked about relevance earlier on. And that is key to your sustainability, remaining relevant. You know, I try to remain relevant by discussing current issues, topical issues, life experiences, things that are ongoing, right? That way you maintain relevance. Every marketer understands the need for disrupting a potential consumer's opinion about other products. But don't make a mistake of taking this chance for granted, okay? So you want to be able to show what is unique about your product. Most businesses assume that they will always remain the client's favorite brand, because up to now, the client has never complained. This is the wrong mindset. Just because your clients haven't complained doesn't mean that they aren't scrutinizing what you do and how you do it. You need to find ways to remain at the top of the client's mind. So when people think CSO services, they should think system and nothing else. 8, marketing creates revenue options. Again, this is just a repeat of the old sales argument from the first paper. 9, marketing helps the management team to make informed decisions. Now, let's take a little time on this one. Every business is confronted with problems such as to what, when, for whom, and how much to produce or to offer, right? So a complex and tedious process determines your business survival. As a result, businesses heavily rely on marketing mechanisms to make these decisions. Why should you rely on marketing mechanisms? These mechanisms serve as a reliable link between your business and society. They cultivate people's mind, educate the public, and convince them to buy or to have your services. Right? So that would be what I want to share with you in this forum as part of the class. And of course, you're getting it to read at your leisure at some point. I am just taking a look at chat. Okay. Any?
So I did have a question.
Yeah, please, Manisha, go ahead.
It's in regards to educating your customer about your service and the product that you offer. Looking at various ads, you know, especially the medication ads and this sort of product would give you both the positive as well as the side effects, right? How then in educating our customer that we tell them our side effect or our how then? Because if not, how then is it a lack of honesty to your customer? So how do we do that as a CSO?
Excellent, actually. Good, very good question. What you're referring to has to do with truth in advertising legislation, right? Which is something I am very, 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 very keen on looking at. When I taught science at UWI, one of the things I mentioned frequently was the difference in the advertisements between local ads or Caribbean ads and US ads, where in the US, litigation is a way of life. So that, you know, if you ever made a mistake in an advertisement and then cover what were some of the side effects, if you like, then somebody would sue you and they'd probably break your company down to the last penny. In the region, you have ads like, I'm trying to remember the brand name. There was a soap that was supposed to be a fat reducing soap, you know, and I told my students year after year, I mean, how ridiculous is that? How could you have a soap that is going to reduce fat? The beginning of that ad should show somebody with very, very skinny fingers, because I don't think you're using that soap without having it on your hands. So I don't know how you could have a soap that could distinguish hand fat from thigh fat, from belly fat, from all kinds of fat. So just the idea that you could use this soap and it would wash away the fat. I mean, I expect people to have clogged drains every time they use the soap. A soap like that would never be advertised in the US. And if it were advertised, they would frame it in such a way to say that individual results may vary. You know what that means? Individual results may vary means, you know, if you're stupid enough to really use this, you might be one of the individuals doing which varied. In other words, you expect this thing to work. You understand? So that controversies would never exist in the US, right? With all these ridiculous claims about how he could cure cancer and he could cure this and he could cure that, and you know, and any civilized society where you had a medical board that was voted so without taking us off the area. All right. So Belinda, your mic is on. Thank you. Yeah. So that when it comes to truth in advertising, that is what it's all about. So as much as you want to provide information to your client base, you do not want to lie or deceive them. So in other words, when you're advertising your CSO, you can't say that everybody in the CSO has a master's in sustainable community development practice. No. Your principals have an associate degree in sustainable community development practice. You cannot say that you have a 10-year track record of assistant CSOs in the trial and state, because you don't. And I mean, unless of course it's in the 11th year you're saying that, right? But when you start up, you can't say that. So that what we're talking about is truth in advertising, truth in communication, and being able to literally back up what you're saying as part of your advertisement. So that if you are saying that if you were stupid enough to say that your CSO could turn around the grant approval rating of any CSO with which it is dealing, then that would be false, because there's no guarantee that even with the best of advice, even with the best application forms filled out and the best organizations, targeted organizations that you go to, there's no guarantee that you could produce that. So you have to be cautious in what you're saying your services will provide, or what will be the outcomes of your services. So that's what that is all about, Natisha. So it's a very good question. In all of our marketing, we have to be sure that we are truthful, because it's the easiest way to go. I'll tell you something. Once you're truthful, it's the easiest way to go. You have less excitement. You have less things to fabricate later on. And if you know that you've truthfully put out an ad that says you're going to do X, Y, and Z, or you have a history of doing X, Y, and Z, you don't have to worry about people querying it. You don't have to worry about somebody going back into your social media files and seeing where you said, you know, one thing and now you're saying something completely different without any legitimate or logical explanation for it. Okay, Natasha?
Yes, sir.
Good.
Sorry, Michael.
I had a similar experience one day last week, and I was sitting at the in the market having a coffee, and this guy was selling pears.
Mm-hmm.
And the lady stopped to get some, and she said to him, "Are they good?" And he said, "Why you think I was selling them?" You know, meaning I would tell you yes. And she said to him, "You better tell me the truth, because if I buy it and I reach home with it, you would not get any business from me again. Because you know, you're here forever, and I'll be passing all the time, and you know, always support you." And then I thought of our CSO and what we are doing, and that sort of came to mind. So I was not sure about that idea. I remember what the experience I had on the, that day last week with concerning that.
Because you know what it will do? It will affect your brand, you know. You become known as the fellow who is selling rotten pears, or the CSO that doesn't provide the services they say they're going to provide.
Yeah, because she
I
said,
think
tell
that
me the truth.
back in, it's hard to dig out a hole, dig yourself out of a hole like that. Because I mean, I've had personal experience buying stuff here in Grenada where you buy something from a particular vendor and it turns out to be really, really, really horrible. So you'd have no way of going back by that person again. Even if that was just a one-off thing, and that was the one avocado pear in the 100 that he was selling that was bad. The fact that I bought it from that particular vendor, that is the end of that. Right? So it would affect your reputation, which is always tied to your brand. So when people hear, which CSO is that? Or them, because that's how they're going to refer to you, them. Right? Once you see they have a bad experience, they're going to forget your name and everything else. They're going to be them. And them people who they say they could do so and so and don't do it. But then people who say they'll be able to provide so and so and don't provide it. And that is what you want to avoid. And it will take a lot of marketing and a lot of PR and things to dig yourself out of a hole like that. Is that for you? You're about to say something? Okay. All right. So that's it as far as file number 8 goes. And we are now on to the main event for this evening. I'm going to provide you with a really fun-filled, and I mean this sincerely, I'm not being sarcastic, a fun-filled assignment 3, which again is going to be an individual assignment. So you see how good it is? I mean, you don't have to put up with all these groups and all these people who coulda, woulda, and shoulda, because now you have an opportunity to do it. So you're going to see what you're made of now. Right, I'm going to share my screen to show you the assignment, and then of course I'm going to give you your own copy. Okay, dokes?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, just let me just make my screen here to find this stuff. 1 second.
Them not know how to treat her.
Yeah, it says, try not to impress us with your singing voice.
Sorry about that. I just switched devices.
Yeah, I realize you're talented, but this is not our YouTube channel, so spare us. Okay, guys, this is what I'm going to be giving you as your final assignment for this particular course. Let me share this screen with you. All right. I hope you can see this. Okay. Everybody seen it? Anybody? Just a quick answer if anybody's seen it.
Yes, sir.
You seen it? Okay, great. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, CSD113 assignment 3. Today's date, July 9, 2020. You have been, listen to this carefully, yeah? You have been hired by one of the communities listed in the below. Somebody has a mic on, please. Hello. Hello. Jeanette, your mic is on. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so you have been hired, listen to this. You have been hired by one of the communities listed in the table below to do all of the following. And here what you have to do for them. Suggest a name for the organization. Draft a mission statement for use in marketing efforts. List the core principles of the suggested organization. Briefly explain the steps to be used in developing a marketing plan for this CSO. And then produce a video clip, either in relief or interview scenario, of not more than 2 minutes duration that can be used as a component of a marketing strategy. And these are the communities you can choose from. For Judy dog owners, and these are the issues and concerns that they would want to raise in any CSO that they form. Molyneux residents who may be relocated or inconvenienced. St. George's Market vendors, beauty and barber salon workers like nail techs, barbers, hairdressers, etc. Workers in small hotels and guest houses. Owners of SGU student accommodation, and street food vendors and caterers. Grove residents, and then of course have issues and concerns. So for the Fort Judy dog owners, the use of private roads, property rights and security. For the Molyneux residents, it will be property valuation, relocation sites, stress, trauma. St. George's Market vendors, communication channels with the site management and government, recognition as business people, because you would have seen in the news that apparently they're not being treated like regular business people because other business people are able to stay open and they won't. Beauty and barber salon workers, ongoing COVID-19 regulations, national insurance, concessions and exemptions for their imported items, workers in small hotels and guest houses, wage support, unemployment benefits, owners of SGU student accommodation, returning students protocols, SGU safety guidelines, re-entry protocols for students and lecturers, street food vendors and caterers, interpretation of social distancing, health and safety regulation changes, regulatory changes post-COVID-19, public entertainment restrictions, right? Wharf residents, use of force by the RGPF, profiling of residents, justice for shooting victim. Now, each student should submit no later than midnight, July 20th, 2020, one document in Word or PDF format to email address smaximi@sbi-tt.com stating the community chosen, the name chosen for the CSO, the draft mission statement, the core principles of the organization, and a brief explanation of the steps, listen to this carefully, of the steps to be used in the development of a marketing plan. I did not say to develop a marketing plan, I said a brief explanation of the steps to be used in the development of the marketing plan. And then one movie file in any of the following formats, MP4, MPEG, whatever, into my private WhatsApp chat. So you make that, you use a cell phone. I mean, I don't expect you to go and buy a video camera, obviously. You use your cell phone, all of you have cell phones because that's how you're communicating in part of the WhatsApp group. You do that short 2-minute promotional piece and you send it to my WhatsApp address. And as I said, those two things, the document and the movie file, have to get to me by midnight on July 20th, 2020, because this has been sent into TAMCC already, and they are going to be expecting me to provide them with the grades during that week. All right, so I have to give myself some time to complete it by July 24th, when is the end of the exams. Any questions, comments?
No, sir.
Excellent. Anybody has any difficulty, would think they would have any difficulty in doing that assignment for which you have 11 days to do a 2-minute, no longer than 2 minutes. So that doesn't mean it has to be 2 minutes. It could be 1 minute, it could be 35 seconds, whatever you need to make your point. Cool.
Clear, sir.
Yes. Clear.
Yes.
All right. And you did hear me when I said the steps to the marketing plan. Eh?
Yes, sir. Quite clear.
Excellent. Right? That's all I have to say for July 9th. I mean, you always complain that you don't have enough time and all that. So now that we are at 6:30 on a class that's supposed to go until 8 o'clock, it is possible, and I'm not trying to assume that I could work the same way you guys can work, that you can do this assignment before the end of class today. All right? Well, at least you can start thinking about it, because you have to choose one of those 6 communities and do the required for your 30 marks.
So one question, you're going to forward that to us, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. All right. So while we still online and recording, let me actually do the transfer and send you these documents so that we are quite clear that even the people who did not attend class today would have an opportunity to listen to the recording and hear exactly what I said I want done. And there should be no difficulty with that.
Just one comment, sir.
Mm-hmm,
I was surprised.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised that I didn't see anything about the Cocoa and Nutmeg Association there. I saw everything else. That I know the dog. I wasn't surprised that the dog.
The problem is that there are already 2 associations involved there. So it will be kind of looking to poach, you know. Remember the cocoa and nutmeg farmers are already in associations, you know.
That's true.
It will put you in a controversial kind of setting for you to have a CSO made up of cocoa and nutmeg farmers who are almost against the merger, if you understand what I mean, right?
Understood.
I thought about it, that's why I didn't put it in.
All right.
You know, we like to keep very current, yeah? And that is as current as you could get.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's still ongoing, right? Cool. Anybody else had any
questions related to the assignment?
Unrelated to it or related to it?
Unrelated to it.
Go ahead.
From your general observation, do you get a sense that if any possibly CSO or even a business or even a marketing entity was to be started that focus on what I call people interaction? That
people interaction. No, stop. What do you mean by people interaction?
When you call it business, you're not getting machine, but you're getting actual people.
Oh, right? Okay. So customer service, personalized customer service then.
Personalized customer service. Mm-hmm. Do you think such a business can find a current tide of moving into machine and voice and technology and Alexa and all those things? Because I do get things that people really resist these machine sounding inhuman approach to business.
That's an excellent question, bro. And it's one that if you will permit me, I spend 2 minutes on, right? Let me just send you the assignment. Those of you who have access to your WhatsApp right now would see that the 2 documents are there, CSD113 Note 8 and CSD113 assignment. Okay? And I see some people have already responded. Kevin has already responded. All right. So, can I move on to Vonnie's really interesting observation or comment, and then we'll close out for the day. All right. Now, in all of the discussions we've been having about communication, the research and the psychologists and so doing the research involving communication all the findings are that interpersonal communication is still outstripping machine led or machine-driven conversations. They had been able to do studies looking at how people respond to recordings, just as Ronnie would have mentioned. So, okay, so you call Grenlec and you want to get your balance, your bill. I mean, if that is done by a machine or mechanically, it may not be as off-putting. It might actually be better than if you were calling, than when you call for a grievance or to mention that a pole by you is down or that branches are overhanging a power line. If you get a recording, then there's a temptation to believe that Granite can really come in and see about this, because that machine is not actually going to call a crew in the area to come and check this line. It is only when you have a recording that says, please hold while we connect with a representative, that you actually start to feel a little more comfortable that you're going to be talking to another human being, who then you would want to hold responsible, because the person would most likely, if it's a proper organization, would most likely say, good evening, this is Jane, Grenlec, blah, 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 blah. And then you tell them the issue. And you could always document externally that, look, at 6:35, I spoke to Jane at Grenlec and told them about this poll. And look, it's 2 days later, nothing has happened. And in the even better organizations, they will tell you that these calls are being recorded for quality purposes, so that in situations where you have heavy litigation, where you have customers who will sue you if you don't respond to them appropriately, then that is how they protect themselves. So I'm saying that the research has shown that human-to-human communication is still top of the line. A number of my colleagues in this COVID era have been telling me that even when they're dealing with international community, people are insisting when you have a Zoom meeting that if you do not put on your camera, you are not present. You know why? Because that face-to-face, that interaction, that ability to read body language, at least facial expression, because I mean, they don't know if you're sitting down there in your underwear or whatever, but at least to be able to read facial expression, to see the body language. If people are slumped back in the chairs while you're talking, you already know what's happening. And I'm not just throwing this at Jeanette now, who is actually leaning back in her chair, but I'm talking about, generally, right? So that you want to have that kind of human-to-human interaction. And one of the most interesting findings on a psychological level is that when two humans are engaged in conversation, not by email or by text message, when they're actually speaking to one another, and especially they can see one another like we are doing now, there are brain patterns that they've been able to study with scanning MRIs, and so that show that the brain patterns are in sync. In other words, there's a different level of reach of communication when two people speak to one another directly, and in any approximation of face-to-face, as we are approximating face-to-face here once the camera is on, so that you see the reaction in the person. You get a chance to see some of the gesticulations, I'm doing this, and Michael is laying back, Noja is, stretching, all of these things are useful indicators as to how the communication is going. So I'm not agreeing with you, I'm endorsing what you're suggesting, that it is in fact a plus to businesses when there's still a certain amount of human interaction, but there are aspects of it that we prefer to leave to machines. And I'm not too sure if it was this class or if it was another group of people that was discussing this whole business about artificial intelligence. Did we have a discussion on artificial intelligence last week? Or earlier this week, anybody?
So, yes, I remember. We'll speak about that next.
Maybe, okay, right. So I was talking about artificial cognition as opposed to artificial intelligence, because that is what we're up against. Oh yeah, I was talking to Kenya, man. Kenny was asking me about her fear of iRobot. Remember when you had
Yes.
a question, right? I was saying that, look, we should not be as afraid as some people seem to be about artificial intelligence. What we have to recognize that we are dealing with artificial cognition. It's two different things because the machines aren't able to compete with us at the emotional level. Emotional intelligence. There are so many human intelligences that a machine intelligence will never, I shouldn't say will never, it will be difficult for them to replace us. We are not intimidated by the arithmetic cognition of a adding machine or calculator. We don't think that calculators are going to take over the world because they could do calculations faster than we could ever do it, right? But we don't think that the calculator is brighter than us either. In the same way, artificial cognition, machine learning, all of these things need not necessarily intimidate us because that person-to-person interaction will still be superior because it's so much deeper than just an email message. One of the things that one of the presenters was saying is that in an email message, because you're using written words, there are very few ways to emphasize tone and so on. I mean, you could do your Twitter, you could do your tweet, sorry, in all caps like President Trump, and people assume it means you're shouting, but that is not the same as if you were on the phone with President Trump and he actually told you, you know what I mean, you come from one of them SO countries. I mean, he would tell you that in a particular kind of way where you would get a better understanding of where his head is at, right? And what his level of interaction is about. So I'm agreeing with your point that yeah, that is a very good point. And I think that the companies that do the balancing act best are the ones that get away with it. Because right now we have, as I said, artificial cognition in your cars. I mean, I'm not intimidated by my car because my car has ABS and because, you know, there are sensors in the car that could tell which of the brakes to tighten on a corner. And so I couldn't do that myself. I couldn't have a pedal in front of me with all four wheels and I'm choosing as I go around a corner which ones. So we're depending on machines to do that. I mean, I have been in self-drive Teslas where, you know, fortunately, as a fellow Trinidadian driving a Tesla. So, you know, you were showing me how, you know, you could put it on self-drive. I mean, but as a train, you know, as a typical train, I mean, you didn't trust this car to be pelting down the highway driving itself. But Teslas could do that, right? But I don't think at any point in time you want to believe that the car brighter than you, right? But the car is able to deal with particular functions, you know, have a faster reaction time than you could for applying brakes, etc., etc., etc. And that's why you have the sensors, that we have a backup camera, etc. Right? So I'm saying that even in your CSO, you would have to find the right mix of automation, machine answering, let's say, and people interaction. When a potential client calls SysDAP, even if you get a machine on the first occasion, let's say the person called midnight for whatever reason, right? And there's nobody in the office or nobody answering, manning the phones, you know, whatever system you have in place. At least there should be a recording that says, you know, welcome to, we are, you know, we are open between the hours of so. Unfortunately, there's no representative to take a call now. If you please leave a number, we will get back to you. The getting back to you is not going to be a machine. Right? You don't want to mention the call here and say that at 6:45 last night you called this number. This is that. How can we help you? Please choose one of the following options. Option A, if you have a CSO that's failing and want to make more money, press. You follow? That is going to be in a whole different category of interaction, as opposed to somebody coming on and says, no, you know, we are here to serve. You know, you say the tagline. You know, you have your mission statement off the top of your head, and you deal with it. But there are other aspects of the interaction that you're going to want to automate. Payments, right? I'm now involved in this distributed ledger technologies, which is the kind of thing surrounding blockchains and smart contracts and so on. Really highly automated stuff. I mean, that's my current baby. That's what I'm working on these days. And I understand that for what it is, but I don't think that that is where the contract is not going to be between machines. The implementation is going to be between machines. In a smart contract, the machine forwards your payment once all the conditions are satisfied to your bank account. But that first interaction for you to get the contract is still going to be a people-to-people thing. People still want to know who they're really dealing with, which farmer am I really dealing with, right? So even if the system is automated, you still need to have that person-to-person interaction. Yes, ladies, gents, that is what I wanted. Does that help you, Bonnie?
Yes, sir. It does. It does. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else before we close off today? And remember on next Tuesday we're going to have a recap class, just to get a sense of what we did for the previous 15 sessions, and just to put a bow on marketing for now, because it's obvious when we go on to the next course, the next course in the series, right? Whatever that course is, there will be some aspects of marketing that will come up. Remember, marketing, as I think the document said it quite well, it's not a medicine. It's a food. It's something that you need on a daily basis. It's not something that you take only when you're sick, right? So you know how current thinking about health and wellness is that health is about wellness. Is about not only about the absence of disease. It's about being in a state of readiness to perform all the activities that constitute being alive on this planet. Okay, guys. No further comments. I want to thank you for your attention as usual. To tell you that I enjoyed interacting with you. For those of you who I was able to see, especially, it was even more fruitful because, as I said, I'm not sure that our brainwaves were synchronized then. For those of you who were, behind your camera and not seen or not heard for the day, well, that is my loss. I didn't get a chance to interact with you the way I wanted to, but there will be a post-COVID time. There will be a time when we have to actually have face-to-face classes, and you have to turn up and you have to be visible, and you won't be able to hide behind a picture of yourself from 10 years ago or whatever it is. Okay, so see you guys on Tuesday. Have a good weekend.
Thank you very much.
Good evening.
You too, sir.
Thank you, sir, and a good weekend to you.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.